Okay, we're in. Should have the mic working correctly now. Hello. Testing. Testing. Hello. Why don't I hear anything now? Hold on.
Okay, I think we are live.
That's not the right one. Testing. Hello.
Testing, hello.
Ooh, okay, it sounds good here.
Testing, hello.
Ooh, okay. And unmuting. Okay, we're good. We actually, funnily enough, the stream is telling us we do not have audio. That is not true. We do. We do have audio. We're Gucci. Let's link this Scheisse. Let's link this Scheisse. Get going. From within your mind, no one else can find the light that you inspire. From another place, not from outer space, but someplace even higher. Ramazan. I can talk, I can bit, I can listen and learn as the wheels in my mind begin to turn, but I never forget what you give to me. The power to see, hear, the power to taste, touch, hear, and see. It's creating Rem Lazar, which is a children's film that became a bit of a cult hit in recent years. Welcome, Zatch Bell Gamer. Let me just test the audio one more time to see how it actually sounds. If it's a bit too loud. Sounds good to me in terms of the volume. Let me turn the gain down a little bit, but yeah. New mic's really good. Thanks for coming here. I don't know. I guess this is the part of the stream where I talk about what's been going on. After I pull the manga up here. Sorry, the stream's a little late. My sleep's been just totally messed up lately, and I was taking a nap. I've already played a little of Viewfinder, which is a game that came out today. It is a game in the genre known as first-person puzzlers, which is one of my favorite genres of games. So it's a genre I will play games from, even if they're not particularly good. But this one does seem particularly good. So if you haven't heard of Viewfinder, it's sort of gone a little bit viral at times, just based on footage of it and the general conceit of the game, which is kind of hard to describe. But look it up, and you'll be like, "Oh wow, I see why clips of this kept getting shared online." Aside from that, I beat The Infectious Madness of Dr. Decker, which is another game I was playing from another genre that I tend to favor, which is the FMV game, or also known as games with live action footage in them, which is it's not a great game. It's not a great game. I saw Mission Impossible recently. That was really good. The new Mission Impossible. I've seen a few movies, including both the Japanese and American versions of Dark Water from the early 2000s. It's kind of a horror movie, a ghost story. Japanese version of that is very good. I would recommend it. American version is not so good, unfortunately, I will say. I saw Wes Anderson's Asteroid City. I saw a great episode, you could call it a short film, of Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities, the horror anthology series. I'm very slowly going through that. That came out around last Halloween, but I'm going through it now. And I saw an incredible episode of that called The Autopsy. And let me tell you, that name, The Autopsy, can bring a few things to mind. There are things I've done with the human body in that hour that I have not seen done before. So there you go. It lives up to that expectation. How are we doing on that? How are we looking here? It's a little close, but it's, I don't know. It's like, what are you gonna do? I like the reflection it's not too crazy. So that's kind of what I've been up to. I kind of want to try to run through Viewfinder this week before Pikmin 4 comes out, which I'm really excited for. I'm a pretty big fan of Pikmin. I am not in the Pikmin cult. There are quite a lot of people in the Pikmin cult, I would call it. There are people who are very weird about Pikmin, and they're too negative about the negative things, and they just kind of keep talking about, I don't know. But the game drops in 3 days. So 3 days, yeah. Friday, yeah. You might want to fear the Pikmin cult. Yeah, they can be weird. Pikmin is like important to them, which is nice and all, but I don't know. Anyway, I guess that's what I got to say about it, about what's been going on with me. And I got a new microphone, which seems to work well. So we can get into chapter 14. Hopefully some more people will filter in as we discuss. One Piece is back, of course. Though I haven't read every Jump manga this week. I haven't read Undead Unluck this week, which I should. For now, let's get into the chapter. So we had to wait an extra month for this chapter. We didn't get one last month. And that's kind of a shame. But we waited. We got a chapter, and hopefully we won't get another break for a good while. So we start this chapter 14, of course. I hope you like my thumbnail. That was something I thought of spur of the moment. I have a tendency to do that. Just think of thumbnails I consider to be pretty good. Like right before I film, I use this keychain that my dad had, and he left it in my car. So we're starting right back with Pola and the witch versus Zatch and Kyo. And Pola is taunting Zatch again. They use Rigo Sorudo, and Zatch is sort of silent, and you know, he looks like he's about to be very angry. Pola is once again using his sort of giant circular glaive thing, which he doesn't really hold. Kind of seems like maybe that thing is a mind of its own or something, but he sort of dual wields that and the sword. But that misses Zatch. They sort of disappear. And yes, they do look very serious, Zatch and Kyo. Pola notices that the atmosphere around them has changed somehow. And Kyo and Zatch say that they're going to get to the Momoto world. That's the goal, and we've sort of known that that's the goal. But it's time to hear them say it finally. The goal is to get to the Momoto world. That's always, I think, been where the series was going. That's where the main conflict is, in the Momoto world. And I don't think they're going there soon still, but they do want to go there eventually. Zatch rushes at Pola, hits him with the mantle, hits him with a Zakir, hits it pretty good with a Zakir, as a matter of fact. We get a little flashback of Zatch asking the book to take them back to the Moto world. The book cannot. Kyo says Kyo believes that the book wants to go to the Moto world, save Kyo's life, but we need to get the book to Megumi in order to do that. Kyo casts a Karga. Pola blocks it with the glaive. sort of a shield. But it still gets him. Still shocks him a little bit. Then the witch casts Janji Sordo, one of Arth's. You could say it's one of our stronger spells. That's how they refer to it. But honestly, it's his fourth strongest spell. Like, I don't know. It's pretty low in terms of the hierarchy. But they use it. Keel's like, oh, that's one of our strongest spells. Rashiel, which should be able to match it. And Rashiel actually does match it for a little bit. Rashiel does break, but the spell is also breaking. But then the witch casts a spell of her own. Anval Zamor, Gardo, Ongoda, Bora, Gamarando, Overiza. Pola's face flashes into a more monstrous form, which is no surprise that he has one, of course. Being the combatant of this pair. And the sword, Janji Sordo, turns into a sort of version of Pola's sword, which is a really cool way of interacting with the magic. It seems like it is supposed to be sort of a high-level thing. It's, I would say, unlikely that any of the previous enemies we've seen could have powered up their spell, personalized their Momoto spells in this way. The spell smashes her shield once again. Poor Rashield. There's a really funny picture posted on the Discord that's, I guess, was from 4chan that someone drew of Rashield reading the chapter on a computer, and Rashield was not happy about being broken once again. And Zatch gets slashed pretty bad on his chest. And he was like, what the heck happened? It was that witch, and the witch is actually looking pretty creepy at this moment. She is a witch. She is skilled in magic, okay? And for whatever she was able to do there is another level than what we've seen before. That's what Gamer says. I said this before, but it seems like dark magic, forbidden magic, the spell books try to keep under wraps in order to avoid the magic overwhelming the bodies of its host. So you think it's sort of the magic they're using is perhaps in the vein of Bowser Kerrigan? Could be possible. The true Bowser Kerrigan. But I don't know. I think it's a more free version, a more basic version of the magic used by spellbooks. I don't know if it's inherently dark, but it does appear to have drawbacks. You know, when you unleash it, it tends to kill you. But my speculation on that, is that the reason that happens is because the people are not, the spells don't belong to them. And I think if one of our own Momoto, if Kyo was to learn that magic and use it with Zatch, it would not hurt him. Which I think is what's coming. I think every spell made more power than we've been shown, and the sorcerers are removing those inhibitors. Yeah, I think it's like I said, it's a more free, more malleable, silly putty version of the magic that we've come to know. That may or may not have its own nomenclature to it. We will see. So the witch is a witch, indeed. Indeed she is. Pola says, what did I tell you? You're not cut out to save anyone. Kyo says, something's different about them. They're not like Wade and the others. It's as if their power has no limit. So this tells me, and hopefully we'll see quite a bit more of this fight, because I want to see some more combat with these guys. But Jazz says, Kiyomaru, don't let up now. Who cares what kind of power they have? All that matters is that we bring them down so we can rescue Tio and the others. So meanwhile, Tio is facing off against, was it number 5? And his master Günther. Tio's holding up this shield, kind of like a popsicle. It's sort of on some stick. She's suspending it with. She's holding it up with. Number 5 fires this cannon radome spell, which, as you would expect, creates a big explosion. It's a very cool spell. The shield takes 1 hit. People are pretty scared. But Tio signals to them to presumably rush to an exit. Cannon spins, Tio maneuvers the shield, puts it at an angle so that the next shot is deflected, which also looks pretty cool. Fires up to the ceiling, but she's still getting damage from this explosion. However, everyone has escaped. So then Tio does some weird, I don't know exactly what she does. She changes some mechanism. It kind of reminds me of Vector Ball, the kind of stuff they would do in that series. And the shield splits in half, and the next shot just goes straight through it behind Tia and explodes harmlessly. So she rips the shield in two. Not sure if that's by design. I'm guessing it is. I don't think it was damaged enough to. Yeah, you can tell. You can tell it's by design because there are little slots for where the shield, the shield halves are put together. So Tia slams the two shield halves down on Gunter and number 5. They're getting in a pretty good hit on them, right? Gunter, I don't think, is very durable. She gets in a couple good hits on him. Really hurts Gunter pretty bad. She hurts the monster, a little bit. She's about to go in for possibly a final blow. But then she hears a scream. And the villain says, so those scampering mice are attempting to flee after all. What kind of fools do you take us for? And we see that guards, as Gunter says, have been posted at every corner. If it looks like a way out, that you can consider it sealed. There's a very spooky man behind one of these doors. He's just chilling. We don't really see him do anything. I don't know what his deal is. I don't know if we're going to get to see him at some point. If he's just something they thought of draw in the moment there. But he's just chilling there, looking a little bit like the villain from the Gaiden chapter. What will you do, Tio, if you don't scramble to protect them with those heavy shields? Their deaths are assured. So Tio goes to do that. She runs away to protect the people. Meanwhile, we have Megumi's concert where she starts her song, Rainbow Shield, which I'm going to read. I'm not going to sing it this time. Sorry. I'm not entirely sure how I think it would go personally. But these are the lyrics that Zatchville Gamers translated and localized. Small hands spread out, she answers our plea, protecting those who are precious to me. Child smiles, so cheerful and bright, and with a body of glass, she holds the light. Flowers blooming and joy all around, a deep blue sky, and not a cloud to be found. Of course, we are now cutting back to Tio's fight while this song is going. When dawn breaks and the birds start to sing, we bask in the blissful light of spring. Tio's getting kind of bodied a little bit by these troops. She's doing her best. And her tender heart beats strong for those around her. And Megumi starts to cry. She doesn't really realize why. What? Why am I crying? I wrote this song as a tribute to Tio's strength, and it's pretty obvious. And yet, I can't get the sight of her crying out of my head. More of the song. With her arms spread out wide, she comes to our aid, standing poised to catch even the sharpest blade. As solid as rock, lovely as the roses that sprout, a light in her eyes that will never go out, hands covered in scars that free us from our sorrow. She builds a rainbow bridge leading to our tomorrow. So I'm not sure why she says bridge when the song is Shield, but there might be another verse. This might not be the chorus. Maybe we'll get to hear the rest of it. I don't know. But she's thinking of Tia being beaten and bruised and defending. She doesn't really know why. But outside, the spellbook is shining very brightly, presumably trying to transmit this feeling, this message to Megumi. And it's working. The book is still outside the fire shield. Meanwhile, Tia is nearly beaten, just holding up a chunk of this shield. Kind of like this. Including the chain coming down. Most impressive, Tio. She says, I'll protect them till the end, even if I have to do it alone. Just like how the king laid down his life to protect us. So yes, she thinks that, as many people do, that Zatch is dead. I'll admit, you do have a strong and vigorous look about you. You've got a lot of spirit for someone who's staring down an army all by her lonesome. But you see, Tio, what I want is for you to show me your tears of anguish. He takes the spell from number 5, cast Rondo Redom. So it's really funny that he's using Zophis' spells because he is also a Frieza-esque character. He floats around in a thing. The hoverball thing that looks like Frieza's. So I don't know. Raku's letting that Frieza inspiration get to him again there. And yes, yeah, he's living up to Zophis' evil with this, certainly. Trying to attack this man whose child comes to defend him. And the spell hits the kid and explodes on him, in him. I don't know. It looks pretty bad. Crack. Kid is almost KO'd. Gunter smiling. Kid falls to the ground. Tia goes, no! Eru-chan. I know you mentioned on Discord that this character could be called L, but we can't have any more Ellies and L's in the in the series. Eru goes, Tio Oni-chan. Tia's screaming, freaking out, trying to use Saifogio over and over again, knowing inside that she really can't use it. Ha ha ha, what's the matter? Turn around already. Let's see that crying face of yours. Didn't you hear me? Tia blocks the mace with the shield, but still getting beaten up, still trying to cast Saifogio. Eru says, One-chan, thank you. Meaning, thank you for trying to defend us. Tia's crying. It's not going to work. Raikou, please draw your mouths a little more. Normally, they look very strange. I can understand the logic and why you draw them the way you do. If you look at it for more than 2 seconds, it starts to look weird. So he tries to cast Saifogio again. And this time, something's different. Tears fall from her eyes. In the tears, reflected. And it is a reflection. Obviously, reading this for the first time, you might think somehow her tears have gained the power of Saifogio. No. It is a reflection of the real Saifogio shining in the sky. One of the more iconic spells in the series. In front of them. She wastes no time putting the spell, slamming it down into this child. Slamming this big sword down into this child's chest. And thus healing him. Or her. Like a miracle, it has worked. And why has it worked? Well, it's because Megumi is on the scene. Looking still beautiful, still pretty clean, with her dress pretty damaged. But here she is. Megumi is here. Everyone's like, what the heck? The people can clearly see her. The Momoto standing by. They're like, what the heck? And that's what they're like. That's what they sound like. Tia's crying. She almost can't believe it. Megumi's here. Another tear streaming down her face, but with a determined look on her face. And that is the end of the chapter. We have a credits page with a nice tribute to Zatch Gamer's dad. May he rest in peace. A very beautiful picture there. And thank you, Zatch Gamer, and your translating partner for working on that chapter for us. This is one I kind of got a little spoiled on. People talking about the quote unquote leaked pages. But not that much. I just knew it was Zatch and Pola going on. Someone was like, I saw someone say, like, I think Tia's gonna die or something, which was a theory of mine. But it was funny to see someone say that based on the preview pages and then read the chapter. And then, like, is she even shown in the first 12? Like, how many pages of her are shown? Like one page of Tia in the intros. I mean, you could say it's my own fault because I keep checking the spoiler channels past when those leaked pages come out, which I shouldn't do. Which, for anyone who doesn't know, they're not really leaked pages. There are preview pages. I think there's usually like 11 or 12 of them that come out like a week before the chapter actually comes out. on some Japanese site, one of the ebook sites where it's hosted. And I think Raikou has said he doesn't really care that this happens. Raikou sends the chapter to some people, I suppose, to these sites. He has to probably send it to them, I guess, a week before he publishes it, and that's when they put the preview pages up on a certain site. It does. It is a good thing in the way that it gives Zatch Bell Gamer and the person he translates the series with a way to get started a little early, which enables them to finish the chapter on chapter day earlier in the day. Now that I'm sitting back here, I just want to see the audio again. I want to hear how it is. Hold on. Testing.
The goal is to get to the Momodo world.
Oh, wait. I want to be live.
Get to the Momodo world. Wait, I want to be live.
Yeah, we're good. So you heard a little bit earlier in the stream there was when it came up. Hold on, let me test it again here. Yeah, we're good. So you heard a little bit earlier, and still a little loud, don't you think? We'll figure it out. For now, just turn it down. Probably better to be too loud than too low. So this chapter, there's not too much to discuss. In my full opinion, it's not that great of a chapter. I think it's just kind of what we expect to see, but then not quite in the way we expected to see it. Megumi is now in the Momodo world, or at least some projection of her is. And we sort of have to wait another month to see, well, what exactly went down. We're skipping here. While Tia was fighting in the Momodo world, things were happening in the human world that we're then going to see. It seems pretty obvious that the book reached out to Megumi. Megumi understood that Tia was in trouble, and she left the concert and probably walked through the fire to get to the book, which is what I speculated would happen. I wasn't the only one last month. But we're kind of not seeing that this month. And part of me wonders if maybe, say if Zatch Bell 2 had not been delayed last month, say if there had been a chapter last month, and then there had been another chapter this month, we might have seen Megumi come to the Momodo world this month anyway. I kind of wonder if they hadn't had to take a break last month, if they would have written the chapters in a chronological order and then had Megumi come to the Momodo world. Megumi's face brightens up, and she's at the end of her song. She looks out in front of her. Well, let's see. I didn't really think that she was specifically realizing anything, but yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's just kind of a performing face, just the kind of face she'd make when she's performing a song, or if she is realizing that something's going on, but she is slowly realizing it for sure. When you could see a spotlight or possibly the book shining. I can't say that I see that. I see the lights. I don't see anything that I would say is the book. But the book's clearly transmitting this message to her somehow. So yeah, I kind of wonder if the manga had come out normally, if we still would have seen this event at the end of the July chapter, which would be chapter 15. But since it's chapter 14, Raikou said, well, I kept people waiting a month anyway, so I'm going to show them Megumi's arrival in the Momodo world, even if it's a little early. Even if I have to skip some things that I'm going to show later. And I'm not entirely sure I like that. I think this might be an instance where maybe if Raikou had an editor or someone he could discuss the series with, that they maybe would have advised him, like, just don't do that. Just keep the fight having the momentum that it has for Zatch as well. That's what I found myself wanting to see in this chapter, was a lot more of Zatch's end of the fight. And yes, Megumi's arrival in the Momodo world is powerful, but maybe it would have been even more powerful if it had just happened, if we'd seen all these events happen, And I think, Raikou has a team. He has his assistants who I'm sure probably he does bounce off ideas off of them. I'm sure most mangaka do that with their assistants. Probably, they probably do have a level of at least input in terms of the series and the creative aspects of the plot and the writing. I'm sure the author values their input and does discuss these things with them. They may not be able to affect change of it all that much. And I do wonder if maybe someone could have told Raikou, like, I don't know if this is really the best way to do it. The thing is, I don't know if this is really the best way to do it. I don't know if my way of just referring the show chronologically would have been the best way to do it. I just wonder if maybe it would have been. You know, we don't need the instant gratification, really. And that's been one of Raikou's like main things in this manga so far is instant gratification. So like, you know, I can't say it's entirely surprising for them to kind of jump to this. Zatch Gamer says, a shame that the sweet Rainbow theme song wasn't released on Pride Month, but Raikou must have had a good reason to take that break. Something about keeping the staff's schedule manageable. Yeah, I'm sure they always have a pretty good reason to take the break. So that's my major complaint about this chapter. And aside from that, there's not too much interesting in the chapter. I think, you know, Megumi's arrival in the motor world is exciting, but I want to see how that happens. I want to see her go through the fire. I want to see if she's actually been teleported to the Moto world or if it's just a projection of her, which, if it is, would be pretty much exactly what we saw happen during the Gaiden chapter. When we saw Kyo for a little bit in the Momoto world to help Zatch cast Bazakerga, even when his magic was taken away. And it's sort of what happens here, right? Seems to me the Megumi is the first main cast to actually physically enter the Moto world in canon. Possibly, yes. You know, we will see if she is physically there, or if it is like in the Gaiden chapter or in the original series when they were kind of spiritually there and they saw a vision of it. I don't know if I think maybe it's a little cheap if Megumi is actually there now. If now the books can take people to the human world, but they couldn't before because the rules. I think maybe that's kind of a little cheap. And I also think that even if Megumi is physically there, Zatch and Kyo can't come along too quickly. Which is weird because now that Kyo and Zatch have a book, you would think if the book wanted to get them to the human world so bad, and if it were able to transfer, if Megumi's book is able to transfer her physically to the human world, why can the book not transfer Kyo to the human world? Is it because the book can only transfer partners and not Momoto? There are still questions to be answered, and unlike some questions that readers might ask, these questions do kind of have to be answered. There has to be rules to this. You know, people and books can't just do whatever they want, and I think there are rules to it, and we're going to find them out. I've also said on Discord that whether Megumi is actually in the Moto world or not, the reason I don't think Kyo and Zatch are following so soon is because the coffins are all still in the human world. I think the coffins are sort of a hanging plot thread, and you know, it hasn't been hanging for too long. It's not like Raikou forgot or anything. I'm never one to speculate that authors have forgot anything. I'm never one to do that. I won't say an author's forgot something until the series ends and they forgot it, which is pretty rare. I always found it so silly when people would say that authors have forgot or just didn't want to use, say, Annie in Attack on Titan anymore. Annie is somewhat literally fridged in Attack on Titan and saved for later. And because a certain amount of time passed, people just thought, oh, yeah, no, she's done. It's done. It's over. It's not gonna happen anymore. We're not gonna see her. She's just gonna be in that crystal forever. Sure, guys. She's gonna be in the crystal forever. Sure, that's right. That's how you write a story. No, wrong. And yeah, the coffins are not a case of that. I just wanted to go off on that tangent, but we do need to see these coffins. We need to see Apollo. We need to use the coffins once again, whether they're all used at once or we only see a couple of them used before a villain comes in and destroys them. That's something I've speculated on for a while. I think one of the fights coming up next is going to be a villain attempting to destroy these so Mamoto can't be reincarnated in the human world. And that might be the first fight where we see multiple Mamoto from the original series come back during the same arc instead of just one per arc like we've been seeing. I hope it's not simply that Megumi had the true resolve to save her partner, whereas Gas is just trying to save people indiscriminately. Yeah, no, that would be bizarre. Except when they forget the 11th rank Mamoto, Loge Viper. Okay, yeah. So it is a funny thing to say around this chapter because Raikou did forget the most minor of minor characters, the 11th rank Mamoto, Logan Viper. Because there is a poll that is being run by some sort of Japanese site or newspaper. I'm not really sure what, but it seems like kind of a big deal. Raikou didn't know what was going on. Excuse me. But this site just began running this poll of who's your favorite Mamoto from Zatch Bell. Who remembers Zatch Bell, guys? Well, here's a poll. Who's your favorite Mamoto? Obviously a Japanese website. And it seemed like it was getting some kind of buzz. Raikou was trying to signal boost it. Seems like fans were participating. I voted for Brago. He was still my favorite as sort of perhaps it's kind of a normie answer, but what are you going to do? He's just kind of the best one. And Raikou was like, who is this guy? Loge Viper. I don't know who this is. He sees this name in the poll. He's like, who is this? He retweets. People are like, yeah, he's the 11th rank Mamoto that Brago beat. He looks kind of like Alm, the Millennium Mamoto, one of my favorite designs. And Raikou's like, oh, okay, I must have named him in a blog or something. I don't know. So Raikou did kind of forget that guy's name. But that's perhaps not the similar. That's not very similar to forgetting a whole plot point. So yeah, this chapter to me is mostly interesting because of what it says about things in the future. In terms of actual events happening in the chapter itself, it's not too interesting. We got some okay combat. I liked seeing the witch power up Arth's spell, and I hope we get to see more of that. And I hope we get to see more, combat ingenuity from Kyo and Zatch. And who knows what state their fight is in by the time Megumi does get to the Mamoto world, and if they even see that happen. Because I think they're kind of away from the arena right now. They might not see Megumi rush out to the book and walk through the fire dome and then get teleported or projected into the Mamoto world. We don't know. Will we see more of Megumi's song where she finally says the word shield? Probably. I don't know. Will we get a recording of this song at some point? Is Raikou banking on including songs in his series so that we can get that anime, we can get that new anime, so you can show off the anime producers? Come on, man. I got songs in this. It's a whole musical. Kanchame's doing some weird rap. Let's get this anime going so we can get these songs put out. I don't know who voices Megumi in the anime, but yeah. But yeah, other than that, Tio is bravely defending her people. It was kind of funny how she was able to just rush to that other entrance and defend them. Just like, all right, now she's at this other place now. But I mean, Gunter wants to see that, he wants to see her struggle. So he was kind of, letting her do that. I'm still wondering what's the deal with that dude that was behind the door, that big guy, that big evil guy. I kind of think he was someone an assistant just wanted to draw. Just like, hey, can we have this big evil guy behind this door? Okay. Will we see Tia fight him? I don't know. Maybe. Now that Megumi's with her, I'm sure they will unlock a new spell, just like Kanchame did. What could Tia's new spell be? Well, it's got to be an attack spell, right? It's got to be. What I tend to think is that it'll be some sort of armor. Maybe something that looks even kind of similar to Pola's armor. Probably an armor and a sword and a shield or something. I'm thinking Tia's going to get something pretty cool. So that's exciting. I wonder if he was Gunther's dragon or whatever. Not literally, but you get what I mean. I don't know if I get what you mean. What do you mean? He's just a big guy that came with him. I don't think he's another one of the numbers because he doesn't look like number 5. So I don't know. What else is there to say? It's been a year and a half almost since the series debuted. March, April, May, June, July. It's like 5 months. A year and 5 months. Just a main threat in Gunther's forces. I was thinking maybe you meant like an archetype or something. Yeah, I mean, well, if he is, then we should see him. See him do something. He's been peeking through that door, I guess, this whole time. Watching what's going on. You eat some popcorn. I think we're all waiting to see another anime announced or whatever the next step in the franchise is. Though, if we just get Zatch Bell 2 for the time being, certainly no complaints from me. But, the pop-up shop's going on, probably doing really well. It's going on in its second location now, I think. And we're kind of waiting to see what else is coming for this franchise. Because there's always little things that are announced. Meanwhile, we have Volume 3 to wait for, which probably still be in a couple months. We'll get to see that art with Tia and Megumi. Possibly whatever new spell Tia is going to get, right? And yeah, I think next chapter we're still going to have these fights possibly be largely separate. And we're going to see fully how Megumi gets the Moto world and what the exact process behind that is. And then we're going to see Zatch and Kyo continue to fight Pola. They do just keep gathering more and more money from all those merch sales. Hopefully they'll put it to really good use. Yeah, it's got to be used for something. I mean, Raikou could just pocket it. But Toei's getting some money, presumably. Raikou's getting some money. They could put it to some use. So I don't know how much more there is to say. Like I said, this chapter wasn't too good, in my opinion. This kind of seemed like a stopgap chapter. That then Raikou sort of added the big Megumi thing in, possibly because he felt bad about keeping us waiting for a month. The fire department will arrive and the witch will melt. That witch has got some tricks up her sleeve, clearly. I can't wait to see what she's got. I want to see Pola's monster form. I hope they don't pull it out too soon. Because Pola already seems to be doing pretty well against Zatch. So they're going to need some to be either really smart or to start changing up, start trying to use some new stuff. Maybe that magic, we all know it's coming. Kyo's going to try to use the same type of magic the sorcerers use. It's got to happen. Kyo can do it if anyone can. Zatch needs his friendly dragon. Yeah, that's where it's coming eventually. That dragon from the cover, Volume 1. I feel like a broken record mentioning it every month, but it's got to happen eventually. Got to see that guy. So yeah, I think that might be all. Thanks for coming, Zatch Game. It's kind of a shame we couldn't get anyone else here in the chat, but it's nice talking to you. I'm glad the new setup is working well. Visually, it's not very interesting, but camera looks good. Mic sounds good. I think this setup is a winner. I don't know if I'm gonna sell the previous mic or anything. I think it might still be useful. I think I need to maybe do some more testing on it to remember if it still just works, even if it gets unplugged on its own. If it would work normally if you just plugged it back in, which the issue is that does not work on YouTube, which I was complaining about a lot during my testing last night that YouTube's issue is if something gets unplugged or jostled a little bit and YouTube sees it as being disconnected, it will not, if it's reconnected, YouTube doesn't notice. It does not notice, and it also does not automatically switch to something else. So you're just down a webcam or a mic. You can do what I do and just give it to a relative, maybe, if anyone needs it. I don't know if anyone would. So that's that. I don't think I want to spend the time just mulling over things anymore. I'm going to keep playing some Viewfinder. Maybe I should stream a little of that. I don't know. It does seem like kind of a neat game to stream. I would like to stream some more stuff soon. Once I get through my backlog a little bit, I'm going to start some Sherlock Holmes stuff, which I would like to stream at least a little bit of. But for now, I'll see you guys next month, or maybe I'll record another video now with my new setup. I also really want to work on a YouTube poop that I was doing that I got started, and I want to do another YouTube poop as well that I had an idea for, a really funny idea just based on one little clip. I can't talk about it because I have a policy of not talking about things if I'm not actively, not only actively working on them, but actively working on them to a very to a point where they're going to be finished. I don't discuss any creative endeavor that I'm doing unless I am very far in the creation of it. Because other than that, it's just bluster. It's just, oh, I want to do this. I want to do that. I have my little story that I want to do. It's like, okay, well then actually like write it. That's how I feel. And this is a YouTube poop, but man, it's the same policy. Yeah, you say you try to do the same. Yeah, yeah, you do, and you always put out some great stuff that you work really hard on, including this month's chapter. So thanks again for that. Okay, I think that's going to be it for this month. Yeah, it's been a little light on discussion just because there's not too many new elements introduced in this chapter. I think there's some really promising stuff like the witch's true abilities, her terrifying true abilities. And yeah, we'll probably get to hear more witch voice next chapter. But for now, that'll be it. Waiting for chapter 15 next month. So thanks for coming, Zatch Gamer. Anyone else who watches, thanks for watching. And yeah, hope y'all have a good night.